Hi, Dr. Ron here, and I want to talk today about the Accounting Padlet resources and the 15 tools that are listed there under the one-page tools, and sort of organize them so you know which ones to use and what they're about. And of course, some of them are just accounting tools. They're introductory, and they may be very helpful, but there's three of them. The double accounting template. So this is where you can go for transactions that might confuse you. They may have two or three entries to do the double entry. And so there's a bunch of examples there where you can just copy and paste if you've got that particular entry issue facing you. There's also the monthly closing conference where you have a chance on a monthly basis or on a periodic basis to make sure that you have done all of the entries and examined all of the documents so that your monthly close is accurate. Very important for an accountant. And then the third is the financial template itself, where you're taking information from the 10K or from any other source and building the data on which all of your analysis will depend. After looking at those three, then of course there's a couple intro tools. Most famous in this class is the Flash 5. 5 tools on one page to just give you as an accountant an idea of where the company is, a general idea, and where you're going to focus your analysis. And then, of course, there's the 10K analysis. And that looks at the 8 analytic categories because you need to choose 2 or 3. I've never seen anybody who needed to use 8. And just focusing on liquidity or solvency, just focusing on one, it's not a rich enough concept to get you a good picture of the company. So focus on 2 or 3 of these analytic categories and then go from there with other tools. The first, of course, is liquidity, making sure that 60 days of cash is there. The cash conversion cycle tool and the 20 ways to get cash tool, these are both things to help a client get cash quickly. Especially if your client is at the end of their cash, you're coming in as a helpful resource and saying, have you considered this? What would it take? What would be the result? What do you need? And then from cash, we go to solvency, but that's really covered in some of the other tools, as is cash flow, activity, and profitability. So those are analytic categories, but they're blended into some of these other tools. So I'm going to go to strategy because we have 2 strategy tools that are strong. One is the cash power ratio, which is wonderful to show to a client because it's graphical. And they can see a quick picture of either their trade capital is over their profit. So they're struggling even to keep going because every time they make $100, they spend $110. Or if they have a healthy balance there where there's an area of space between a higher net profit and a lower trade, then they know that they've got capacity for strategy. That white space is capacity for strategy. But then the real powerful one is what we've looked at today and last week, and that is the liquid solvent ratio, because this is taking a bunch of data from all 3 financial statements and saying what is the abundant cash available for this company to develop a strategy. What an important question and worth the time that you're putting into this particular tool. Looks at everything from the environment, the business environment. It looks at profitability. It looks at trade cap. It looks at investment returns on other kinds of assets. It looks at leverage. So it's pulling a lot of things together to give you an idea of what kind of budget you should recommend or ask the C-suite team about as they go into their strategy session. And then, of course, for the CEO, if you know the industry, you can simply ask the CEO, what is the revenue? And that tool fills in the percentages of the direct labor, the raw materials for the contribution margin, and then it goes to the 5 fixed costs for building, marketing, taxes and benefits, all other office expenses, and indirect compensation. 5 categories that wrap it all up. Now, in some cases, their variances you put in the actuals, and their variance is wide in some areas, but they've got good reasons for it. And in other cases, this is the first time they're seeing anybody give this kind of approach to them. and they realize that they've overspent in one area and maybe underspent in another. And then finally, I put in a couple of specialty items. One is the fraud risk tool, and the other was the wisdom tool. And I put in the wisdom tool because each of us develops our own favorite set of tools, and we add little things that aren't in anybody's tool. And so it's nice to build that list because you're building your accounting wisdom as a specialist. That's your intellectual property. That is what you are going to be offering to clients and charging for. So I hope that this organization of the tools helps you decide as you work on questions, which tools and which questions are helpful for your company by you. Thanks.